What if the weakness you feel was never truly yours? What if it was just a mask the world made you wear? You weren't born apologizing. You didn't arrive on this earth needing to explain your presence. You were taught to shrink, taught to filter your truth, taught that silence was dangerous and that pleasing others was survival. But here's the forbidden truth they never told you. Real strength begins the moment you stop explaining yourself. When your soul grows louder than your words, the right people stay. The rest? They were never strong enough to walk beside you. You spent too long asking for permission to be who you already are. But you feel it, don't you? The quiet ache, the heavy exhaustion of always needing to be understood. To justify your fire to people who fear their own. And yet, they still don't get it. Because they were never meant to. That's not your failure. That's your freedom calling. Listen, your mind is a forge, and every thought you shape is a spark of your destiny. You don't owe anyone an explanation of your fire. Let it burn. The world taught you that silence means defeat, but silence is not weakness. Silence is a fortress where your strength grows unseen. They want your energy, your attention, your validation. But the moment you pull it back, the moment you stop explaining, defending, overgiving, they call you cold, selfish, hard to love. But that's not the truth. The truth is, you're done bleeding to keep others warm. And now, they feel the cold of your absence. It hurts, doesn't it? That moment when you realize some people only love the version of you that tolerated being misunderstood. They didn't love your truth. They loved your silence. They loved how easy you were to mold. But you're not clay anymore. You're steel. You're not the apology. You're the arrival. And now, your work begins. Mastering yourself is not a trend. It's not a motivational quote. It's war. A sacred war, fought in the quiet spaces of your own mind. You must learn to sit with the emotions that try to break you, the shame that whispers, "You're too much," the fear that claws at your throat, begging you to explain your every move. Those emotions aren't enemies. They are molten metal, and with enough discipline, you will forge them into armor. This is mental alchemy, the ancient skill of turning chaos into clarity, pain into power, emotion into strategy. But be warned, it's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's not visible to the world. It happens in the dark, when no one is watching. When you stare down your reflection and refuse to lie to it again. This is where the weak run. This is where the strong are born. You've tried to be liked. You've tried to be understood. But the deeper you go, the more you realize understanding is not a requirement for love. Real connection doesn't need an explanation. When you stop chasing validation, you discover something terrifying and holy. You are enough without witnesses. That's where inner discipline is born. Not in noise, not in applause, but in restraint. The power to hold your truth like a blade, and only unsheath it when necessary. Discipline is the cornerstone of all freedom. Without it, you are a slave to reaction. Emotion. The never-ending game of earning your place in a world that doesn't even know what it wants from you. But with it, you become untouchable. You walk into rooms and change them without a word. You sit in silence, and the noise of the world bends around you, because they can't figure you out anymore. And what they cannot predict, they cannot control. This is the death of the old you, the one who over-explained, who begged to be seen, who softened their edge just to be invited into rooms that didn't deserve them. That version of you, gone. Grieve it, if you must, but then rise. Steel-eyed, silent, certain, because here's the truth, the right people, the real ones, they don't need a script. They feel your soul without needing a translation. They don't flinch at your silence. They find peace in it, because they built their own fortress too. You'll know them when you meet them. They don't try to fix you. They stand beside you like equals, unshaken, unthreatened, unmoved by the games the world plays. But that kind of bond, it only arrives after you've faced the fires alone. You must earn it.by first becoming whole without it.so. If you feel empty right now, if your world feels quieter than ever before, good. That's not loneliness. That's the sound of your power returning. You don't need to explain. You don't need to chase. The ones meant to walk with you will hear the silence and know it speaks volumes. Let the rest go. Let the confusion burn. Because this transformation won't wait for your permission. It begins when you're finally done being broken.
The moment you stop explaining yourself, you meet the version of you that doesn't beg to be seen. You meet the quiet fire, the part of you that never needed permission, only space, and once it ignites, you no longer tolerate the noise that once owned your mind. But before that fire becomes your weapon, you must face the shadow, and I'll be honest, most people run from this part. Because shadow work doesn't flatter the ego. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't bow to your titles. It burns through. Illusion.it will show you the truth about your patterns, why you chase people who drain you, why you say yes when your body screams no, why you shrink around power and soften your voice around chaos, not because you're weak, but because somewhere along the way you thought being useful was the only way to feel worthy. That is the lie we're dismantling now. You see, every emotion you've tried to avoid, anger, shame, heartbreak, betrayal, is a locked door. And behind that door is raw, unfiltered energy, the kind of energy kings used to lead, the kind warriors transmute into clarity, the kind alchemists forge into inner gold. You are the alchemist now. Your emotions are molten metal, and yes, some of them will burn, but with focus, with breath, with presence, you can shape them into armor, not the armor that hides you, the armor that reveals your true form. So sit with the fire. Don't run. Don't numb. Don't distract yourself. Breathe like a monk preparing for war. Feel the heat, but do not flinch. That heat is your birthright, because you were not meant to be soft clay. You were born steel, waiting for flame. Let me tell you a story. There was a samurai, forgotten by history but carved into myth. He was betrayed by his own brother, exiled, disgraced, discarded by the world. But in that silence, he trained. While others slept, he meditated. While others complained, he sharpened. He didn't chase redemption. He became it. They say when he returned, he didn't seek vengeance. He walked through the same village in complete silence, and people bowed, not out of fear but because they felt his power. He no longer needed to speak. That is the quiet fire. That is what you are becoming, not someone who reacts, but someone who transmutes. You take insult and forge it into composure. You take chaos and refine it into vision. You take abandonment and extract solitude. Because nothing can defeat the one who no longer fears being alone. That's why this path feels painful at first, because you're not just learning skills. You're remembering a power you always had. The world made you forget. It taught you to seek outside what already lived inside, but now your memory is returning. Breathe again. Each breath is a bell calling you back to the present. Feel that ache in your chest. That's not weakness. That's energy trapped in old stories. Let it rise, let it boil, and then shape it. Here's how you do it. When pain visits, don't push it away. Sit with it. Ask it what it wants you to know. Use your breath like bellows. In a forge, inhale deeply, hold it, exhale with intention. Visualize the fire in your belly growing hotter with every breath. Each inhale, power, each exhale, purification. This is your ritual now. No candles. No ceremonies, just presence. You don't need magic, you are the spell. And here's the forbidden truth they won't teach you. Most people stay broken because they interrupt their transformation. They feel the fire rise, and they run. They pick up their phone, they drink, they scroll, they call someone to distract them from their own awakening. Don't do that. When the pain rises, welcome it. That's the gate. That's the threshold every warrior must cross. Because pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Pain is a messenger. Avoidance is a jailer. So when that ache hits, don't escape, transmute, write it down, speak it into a recorder, walk barefoot on the earth, punch the air if you must, but stay with it, stay with you. This is what shadow work looks like in real time, not some abstract idea, but you, choosing to feel what you've buried. You are remembering now, not just who you are, but who you were before the world told you to dim it. You are not soft. You are precise. You are not emotional. You are volcanic, when channeled, and this discipline is not punishment. It's purification. You don't owe anyone your availability, and not when your fire is still forming. Let them say you're distant, let them call you cold, let them wonder where you went. You went inward, where the real war is at, where the gold is hidden beneath your wounds. And when you return, you won't need to explain a thing, because your energy will speak volumes, your silence will radiate power. Your presence will be undeniable. This is the law of the quiet fire. It does not chase. It does not beg. It does not convince. It transforms in silence and erupts with purpose. So breathe again. Feel the heat in your gut, the tension in your jaw, the sting behind your eyes. That's the old you are melting. Let it burn, because the ashes of who you were are the soil of who you're becoming. And the moment you stop being emotionally available to every distraction, every guilt trip, every codependent storm, you begin to cultivate something rare. Self-respect. Self-containment. Self-trust. The fire is growing now, and soon it will become a fortress. You've felt the fire rise. You've faced the ache without flinching. Now comes the part where you build the walls, not to hide yourself, but to protect the throne within. Because once you stop being available to the noise, you start hearing something louder, your own command. And that's when you realize control was never about others. It was about the self all along. Self-control is not about suppression. It's about direction. Your anger isn't evil. It just needs a mission. Your fear isn't weakness. It just needs leadership. And your sadness, it's not a flaw. It's depth. A deep ocean of empathy and reflection waiting to be turned into insight. But here's the truth: none of these forces obey the undisciplined. You must become their general. You must master your battlefield, because if you don't, you remain a slave to the storms inside. That's why we build the fortress. It's not made of stone. It's made of decisions. The decision to not respond to chaos, the decision to not explain your worth, the decision to not be available to every vibration that knocks. You don't owe the world your reaction. You don't owe your past self a response. You owe the future your strength now. Here's the secret most won't tell you: self-control begins in silence. Before you speak, before you act, before you open that message or click that screen. It's in that space, that tiny breath of hesitation, where power is reclaimed. When the insult hits, pause. When the urge comes, breathe. When the old story plays, observe that pause. That's where kings are made. The world will try to pull you back into needing to explain yourself, back into needing to prove, to please, to react. But you are learning the ancient art of stillness. Stillness is not weakness. It is focus. It is the unshakable center of the storm, where everything spins, but you remain unmoved, like Marcus Aurelius in his tent, journaling through war, writing truth in the dark, while chaos thundered outside. Or Miyamoto Musashi, wandering the mountains with no master, seeking no title, carving perfection with every breath. They were not loud, they were not reactive, they were disciplined, and so must you be. Here's how it starts: journaling. Every morning, empty the chaos onto the page. Let your thoughts bleed safely into ink. Don't edit. Don't judge, just release. Breath control. When the fire rises, box breathing. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold again. You're not just calming yourself. You're programming your nervous system to follow your command. Mental reframing. When your thoughts spiral, catch them, speak back, not with lies, but with clarity. I am not what happened. I am what I choose in response. Say it. Feel it. That is how you rewrite the code. And then there is physical discipline. Your body must feel your sovereignty. Train, move, sweat, and not for vanity, but for mastery. Each push-up, each cold shower, each healthy meal is a vote for the future you, because the body remembers, and when it's treated like a vessel of power, the mind follows. But here's what no one teaches you: the greatest form of discipline is not how much you do. It's what you no longer allow, what you no longer accept, what you no longer respond to, what you no longer explain. That's when you step into true control, because you're not just surviving anymore. You're choosing. You're no longer emotionally available to chaos. No longer mentally available to gossip. No longer spiritually available to guilt and the people who once fed off your openness. They'll notice. They'll call you cold, distant, arrogant. Let them. That's their projection, not your problem. They were addicted to your weakness, not your strength. But now, you are unavailable or not. Out of spite, out of sovereignty. You don't need to fight, you don't need to explain, you don't need to react, because the fortress doesn't shout. It stands. You've probably noticed it already: the peace that comes when you say nothing, the power that grows when you stay silent, the way the world shifts when you stop reaching, because when you stop being available to dysfunction, only the aligned remain, the needy fall away, the toxic fade, the real stay. This is the clean fire of discipline, and not noisy, not desperate, but rooted. There will still be storms, still be wounds, still be doubts, but now, you don't crumble, because you've built the walls within. You've armored your inner citadel, and when betrayal knocks again, you won't beg. You'll observe. When life hits hard, you won't collapse. You'll breathe, reset, and act from power, because now, the voices that once controlled you fall silent. You no longer need their permission. You no longer seek their validation. You've remembered what they tried to make you. Forget your time is sacred, your energy is currency, and your presence is earned. You no longer sell it cheap. You are the fortress now, not a wall to keep people out, but a gatekeeper of what gets in. You are your own sanctuary, your own compass, your own command, and the world. It can knock. It can shout. It can beg, but your silence is no longer absence. It's power. You've endured the fire. You've forged the armor. Now you rise, and not as the version of you they knew, but as the version of you they never saw coming. Because when you stop being available to everything, you start becoming something. You become clear. You become dangerous in the way only the disciplined are, not to others, but to your former limits. You no longer just exist, you design. This is the final phase, where you leave behind the reactive self and step into the role you were always meant to play. Architect. Of your time. Of your energy. Of your mind. Because no one is coming to build this life for you, and if you don't create your inner world, someone else will. Someone with an agenda. A system. A screen, but not you. You're done being programmed. You're done being available to the default. Now you choose, and the first law of reality creation is this: your life bends to what you tolerate, the people around you, the stories in your mind, the emotions you allow to anchor. They're all blueprints, and if you don't revise them, you'll keep waking up in the same house of pain. But here's your gift: you've earned the right to rebuild, and rebuilding doesn't mean more chaos. It means precision. Start with your inputs. Who gets your attention? Who gets your words? Who gets your availability? If they drain, devalue, or distract, they're removed. No anger, no drama, just architecture. Because from this moment on, you are not fitting in, you are carving out space for silence, for intention, for mastery. You don't need everyone to understand your path, you only need to walk it. You don't need constant motivation, you need alignment. Alignment is when your thoughts, emotions, and actions point in the same direction, and that direction is you, the highest version, the focused version. The version that doesn't flinch. And let's be clear, mastery is not about being emotionless. It's about being centered. You still feel pain, but you don't react from it. You still get angry, but you use it as jet fuel. You still feel love, but you don't chase it, because love, the real kind, flows to the centered and not the desperate, not the available, the sovereign. So ask yourself now, are you living by design or by default? Are you the sculptor or just the clay? Because everything changes when you choose. And choice is a muscle. It gets stronger with use when you choose discipline over distraction, when you choose solitude over noise, when you choose silence over reaction. That's when the shift happens. That's when people feel something